Welcome everyone. It's Karen at Close to My Heart. Happy New Year. We are starting the new year off with a brand new process video. And before I forget, I need to remind you to like and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube and turn on those bell notifications. And then you'll always know when we post a video. I feel like I'm doing this for the first time after being off for quite a while. And hopefully the process video will go a little better than my memory is going right now. I am excited to show you what we're going to be scrapbooking today. So let's take a look at what I brought to the studio today to play with. This just looks like a mess, but it's going to do something really fun. It's just stained from so much use. I do use this a lot. I'm going to do some pictures of my little boy when he turned 5. He's actually just turned 35, which is what made me think of scrapbooking Easton's 5-year-old photos. I did not have them scrapbooked yet. I know that sounds horrible for a scrapbooker to be 30 years late scrapbooking something, but actually it's kind of fun to go back and look at things that much later. And my journaling kind of reflects that. I talk about some of the things about him when he was 5 years old that I can still remember. I'm guessing some of you have kids or had kids that are like this. He hated everything about his clothes. If a collar rubbed his neck, if his line on his socks weren't just perfectly straight. I wanted him to wear new shoes for these pictures, but he was not going for it because these were the cute pump them up, you know, shoes. He couldn't live without those. And I was surprised he let me comb his hair like he did. So all of the things that I just said are in my journaling. And I love that 30 years later, those are the things I remember. I even had to put him in afternoon preschool that year so that by the time it was time to go to school, he was done throwing the fit about his clothes. All right, so I thought it would be fun to use this stencil today. And as you guys know, quite often I draw myself as a sketch before I come down to the studio because all of the supplies are not here in the video studio. So even though this is a process video, I had to do just a little bit of planning ahead. And I did plan to use this fun 3-layer balloon stencil with this page. And also, you guys know I'm wordy in my journaling. If you've been following these process videos for very long, I've already typed up my journaling. And so I do a lot of hidden journaling just so it doesn't take up so much space on my page. And I'm going to do hidden journaling on this one, but a little bit different than I've ever shown you guys in the past. And I also was thinking that since these were his 5th birthday photos, I used to get pictures of my kids taken each year at their birthday time, that it would be fun to say happy birthday on here. And we have this amazing happy birthday stencil that goes with our Let's Party card making workshop. And you can only get it in that workshop, but if you buy it, then you can obviously use it for a million other things. So I've cut a bunch of those in lots of colors that I feel like might work. I've also cut number 5 on my Cricut in several different colors. And I also felt like for a boy birthday page with the balloons, it might be fun to add some stars. So I also cut a bunch of different stars in different sizes and colors. So I have all of that to choose from. And I also thought it would be fun to try and limit myself just to our mix-in paper. So if you're not aware of what our mix-in paper is something that we put in each catalog that is just like really usable patterns, maybe not as bright and heroish as some of the other papers in the kits that could be mixed in with either of the kits in the catalog. And I just brought some of those mix-in papers that I felt like worked with the colors. So this is the sketch I'm using, and the reason I drew my title like this is I thought I could do the happy and the birthday, which I just put down somewhere. Oh, right here underneath. The happy and the birthday, and then maybe the 5 in the middle and a circle. So I did cut some circles too. So that gives me, I think, everything I need. Another thing I thought of as I was drawing this sketch was it might be fun to put these photos on to look like Polaroids. So even though Polaroids, usually the photo is square, I still thought we could do something fun to look like a Polaroid with these 3x4 photos. All right, I chose colors based on the colors in the photos, but these photos look like he's wearing all black, and he actually is not. He's wearing a shirt that had a black background, hard to see on there, but he has a pattern on his shirt. You can kind of see it rolled up on his cuffs, the back side. It had blues, lots of different blues and things in that shirt. So I wanted to use blues because I felt like that would help me remember those clothes that he had on, maybe in another 20, 30 years when my memory's even worse than it is now. So I brought a bunch of blue pads and some blue accessories and some black and white accessories because I always tend to mix some black and white into everything I do. and a couple of stamp sets I brought down. I brought down this cute little bear set, which looks like it's for babies. I'm going to come over to the close-up camera and show you that. But I thought I was looking for a stamp set with a star because I thought if I'm going to use stars that have cut, maybe it would be fun to also stamp some stars in there. And this one has a really cute little star. So I brought this just in case I decide to use a star. And I brought a small alphabet in case I want to put his name or the year or something on the page. So those are all the things I brought. And I think we will get started by stenciling. So I'm just going to grab some white daisy cardstock. And as you can see, I brought a whole bunch of different stamp pads. Another thing you might recall if you've watched a lot of our process videos is I tend to go a little bit lighter with the colors that I use on my page than the colors in the photo, because I feel like that makes the colors in the photos really pop. So maybe we'll start with this light blue. And you can see that I have on my stencil labeled top right, because these stencils fit on top of each other. You do them in layers, and you have to make sure that they're positioned in the right place. And by just writing that there, you could do a star or whatever. Then I know if I've made this on the top right here, then this part right here needs to be the top right. That way it's easier for me every time I use them. So we're going to just do a little bit of sponging through here. You could tape your stencil down. This is a 12 by 12 stencil. I'm just going to use my hands to hold it down. I'm going to move this over just so I have my scratch paper poking out a little so I can daub it off. And I'll start here where we are, but I might move over to our close-up camera so it's easier for you to see. But this way you'll get a kind of bird's eye view. And I just like to dab off a little bit of that ink before I put it onto my page so I don't get any blobs onto my page with a whole bunch of ink to start with. And if you hold that stencil really still or tape it down, then you shouldn't have any problem with it moving. I'm just going to kind of make my way all the way down this right side, and then I'll move over to the close-up camera where you can see a little bit better some of the details of what's happening with this stenciling. I'm just using a blending brush. Okay, let's move this now that you've had a chance to see kind of how I'm working my way across. I'm going to just move this over here to our close-up camera. Now you probably thought, oh, it looks like there's hardly any ink on there at all, but look what happens when I lift it up. I actually want it to be a little bit subtle so that it's just complements my photo and doesn't over power my photos. So I'm just going to move this over here too. Whoops, I moved my stencil a little. We're just going to put it right back where it belongs. And I'm actually okay if some of my balloons are a little darker and some are a little lighter because I like that organic feel. But if you wanted them all to be exactly the same, you'd probably want to take a little more time as you added your ink to make sure that everything looks the same. I like having some that are darker and lighter. I'm just going to lift that one more time for you to see. I think that's a pretty look. Okay, I have my first layer down and I really like how that's looking. I like that I have some lighter balloons and some darker balloons. The next layer is a really cute patterned layer that makes some of the balloons have polka dots and some of the balloons have stripes. And I've got it labeled so I can just lay that right on top without any problem. I'm trying to decide what color I want to use for the top of that. Brought sapphire thinking I might want to use it, but actually I'm not loving that. Maybe, what else did I bring? Oh, my charcoal. Let's try charcoal, see how we like it. You could also be really strategic and do like the polka dots one color and the stripes one color, but I'm just going to do them all the same. And one thing that I find really helpful when I'm using a stencil and a blending brush is to start light. I can always go back and add more color. It's harder to take it away. In fact, it's impossible to take it away. So I like to start with a lighter hand And then I can always go back and add a little bit more if I need to. It needs a little bit more than what I see right there. So I am going to do just a little more there. See how that looks. Okay, I'm liking that how that looks about that amount of color. Because like I said, I just want this to be a fun little background that doesn't overpower my photos. I love the art of scrapbooking, but I don't like it if the art is more than what you see on the photos. And that doesn't mean you can't do lots of fun artistic things. It just means I want to do it in a way that it complements the photos and doesn't take away. You know, everybody's opinion's a little different about what that means. And that's why we all can do it the way we want, right? Cute that is turning out. I'm loving that. And I'm really glad I went with the charcoal. I'm liking that a lot. Okay, now let's move to the balloon strings. And I think I'm going to use a black for those. We could do charcoal, but why not? Let's just go to a black. I'm liking that the only blue is that background color, which I think is going to make it look really cute. And I'm trying to move this as I'm working so that you can see what's happening. When I have something long and skinny that I'm using a stencil, I like to go with the direction of that line. You could go this way, but it might jiggle that line a little bit so that the line is not as precise. So that's just a good tip when you're doing stenciling with something that has lines, a line or lines that all kind of go one direction, to go with the line. Kind of, we lift that up, you can see how that's looking. Very cute, isn't it? I love the stencil. I have used it a ton already. I also like to make my way across where I'm not dragging. We could have started over on this other side too, but it's easier for me to not have to drag my arm through the ink. So I like to do it in a way that makes it easy for me to not smudge all over my fingers, although I'll probably still get some no matter what I do. And so that I don't make a big mess and then have it get on to the rest of the project. I also like to keep a little wet rag nearby to wipe my fingers on as I work. There we go. Turned out really cute, I think. Now this was a 12 by 12 stencil, and you're going to notice something for the machine that cuts the stencils to not have anything, you know, break off the edges. We always leave a slight margin. So I'm going to be cutting this down. You can kind of see where that line ends right there. I'll be cutting this down, and I'm not sure what color I'm going to put it on yet. I'm going to wait until we get a little further in the layout. I'm going to cut this down, and we'll build on this piece, and then I can decide as we keep going what I want to do underneath. Okay, let's go back over here. We can kind of see the whole picture. And if I just cut a 1/4 inch off each side, that will take care of any that didn't, you know, that where that line is, where the pattern ends. I'm really liking that charcoal and black against that light blue. And I think that's going to be pretty as a background back behind this layout. I'm going to bring my sketch in so that I can remind myself what I was thinking. And we can start building. I think it might be smart if I grab a couple of pattern papers. I brought some bluebirds, but since I went with the glacier, I don't think I want to do bluebird. So my choices for patterns for what I want to put across the middle, I tried to bring kind of subtle patterns because I knew the photos and everything were going to be sitting on that pattern. So I'm just going to hold, I've got a gray pattern and a black pattern. I'm kind of leaning toward this kind of broken diagonal plaid. And I'm going to say, I can always cut smaller, but it's hard to go bigger. So I think I'm going to start with like a 6.5 inch or 7-inch piece to go through the middle of my layout. And okay, I like that. It's not going to overpower anything. I've got photos here that I'll be adding. Talked about doing some Polaroids, so I think I'm going to do some white mats to look like a Polaroid. Those are 3x4 photos, so maybe I'll go like a, I don't know, 3.5. See what that looks like. I'll just cut this in half at 6. Yeah, I like that. This is too long. Let's just cut a little bit off here. Maybe an inch. Maybe a little less than an inch. There we go. I like that. I'll just cut this one to be that same size. I think it was at like 5 1/8. Okay, I'm liking it so far. I feel like I want that to pop just a little more. Maybe I'll add a layer behind the photos. I'm going to grab a few colors here that we used in the stenciling to see. Yeah, maybe charcoal. Maybe black. Finding myself leaning away from the blues. I'm liking the black and charcoal with these photos better, and I kind of like just that blue is right there. And I did cut a whole bunch of happy birthdays and a whole bunch of stars in different colors, so that's a good thing, because now I think I'm going more toward the grays and the blacks. So let's see what I got here. Let's make our title down the side. That'll help me decide what color to put behind these photos and what color to put back in the back. Let's try this with black maybe. And I like the blue one here. Not so much. That one I like okay. I like that better. Let's do black. I've got a black happy in here too. Okay, now we just got to figure out what color we want our 5 to be. A bunch of 5s here. I'm guessing I'm going to go with a dark color, but I'm going to try the blue because I didn't mind the dark blue, the sapphire blue before. Let's see if I like that. I like that okay. Let's see, I cut a charcoal one. Let's try that. Better. I'm going that way. And I think, you know, you may be sitting here watching me going, oh, I would have gone with the blue. And that's cool. I think that that's part of the fun of art, that we all can be creative and choose what we love. So I'm liking how that looks. So maybe that will help me choose what color in the background here and what color behind those photos. I like the black. Let's try the charcoal. Ooh, I think I like that better because it brings out the charcoal of the 5. which makes me think I might want to do black right there behind those photos. I think I'm just going to do a skinny little line. Let's see how that looks. Boy, if your desk looks like mine when I scrapbook, then you probably are in a huge mess, because I am already. I think I'm just going to cut it an 1/8 larger than those photos. So maybe 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 and see how that looks. I love that skinny little line around the photo. Almost looks like you drew it. Oh, I like that. I like how that's making those pop. And I think I might even put these on 3D foam tape so that the white stands out a little bit more. Happy 5th birthday. Maybe I'll stamp a name under one of those for his, with the alphabet. Okay, I feel like I'm about ready to start adding some adhesive. I feel like it's a little bit too white. I tend to do a lot of using ink behind things, and I think I might add some ink behind that 5 with that same light blue color that we've been using. Let's see how that looks. I think that will just make it stand out even more. A couple of things that I do a lot on my layouts. Number one is adding ink behind titles and things like that. And then also I do a lot of splattering on my pages. And I did bring a couple of shimmer brushes down. I brought a glacier one and a sapphire one, thinking that maybe I'd want to splatter on these pages. I'm just adding ink kind of at the center of the circle and letting it get lighter as it goes out. Yep, I love that. Might even add just a tiny bit more. Okay, let's add that 5. Actually, maybe I'll stamp on the 5. Maybe I won't add it yet. Okay, I think I'm going to splatter on these balloons. And since we're using only Glacier as our blue, then I will use the Glacier shimmer brush. And I'm going to bring in my scratch paper here. When I splatter with a shimmer brush, I like to squeeze it onto my mat. This is an all-purpose mat that I've got underneath me. I always have one underneath me for messes because I am messy when I scrapbook. And I'm just getting some ink on there so that I can have an overabundance on the brush there. There we go. That's a nice amount. And I'm just going to tap it right here on the lid. And that way these splatters are going to have just a little bit of shimmer to them. They look really dark right now, but it's because they're wet. They'll get lighter as we work on our layout. You could be really like purposeful, like if I just want a whole bunch of splatters right there, I could do that. Or maybe I'll come over to the close-up camera. I bet you'd be able to see that a whole bunch better. Here's where I was saying we could add a lot more splatters. You can see how I just kind of concentrated my shimmer brush right there. I'm just going to pick up a little more ink over there. And maybe I'll do the same thing up here in this corner so they're opposites. Ooh, you probably can't see that. Here we go. I love that look. And then just a few here and there. Why not? Can you ever have too many splatters? I say no. All right, we got that all splattered, and I need that to have a minute to dry for sure. So maybe I will. I said maybe we should stamp on our 5, and I brought those that little stamp set with the stars. So let's come back over here and maybe do that while we wait for those splatters to dry. Okay, now I have to find my stamps from underneath everything. I'm just going to grab this little star in the stamp set and add it to a block. And where did I put my 5? Here it is. I think I'm just going to stamp it with charcoal on there and just give it almost like it's its own pattern paper. I should do this close up too. Let's move this back. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to kind of stamp. Oh, that's cute. Little stars here on the 5. Love how that looks. And by the way, I used the light side of charcoal, and that makes the ink stand out even more, but it would stand out even on the dark side, just not quite as much. All right, I like that. I'm glad I brought that down. And maybe I want to do the Easton on one of these photos on the, so I'm going to glue this together really quick. Somewhere I had some adhesive. I think I'm going to stamp Easton right below this photo. So I need to put that together. To do that, space everything. There are a whole lot of Eastons running around our world now, but when I had my Easton, I didn't know a single Easton. So there's my Easton who's 35 and a whole bunch of Eastons that are like 10 and under right now. Okay, we're going to grab that alphabet. You can use any alphabet. I brought a small one because I was thinking it probably, I would want something small since I was planning to do kind of a bolder title. And I do like to use my letters one at a time. I'm just going to grab a pencil and draw myself a quick little line so it will be easy to see. And maybe I'll put it over to the right side here instead of centering it under his photo. Maybe I'll put it like the N right underneath the black there. I think I want a black pad for that though. Oh, which I have right here. So I'm going to just go backwards. I'm going to spell his name backwards. Let's hope I can do that. And I'll put the foam for my stamp set underneath. That just gives you a cushion when you stamp. It makes a big difference in the quality of what you stamp. You can see what I mean, how nice that stamped, having that little cushion. My cousin likes to tease me. All my kids, and I didn't even realize this when we named them, end in the N sound. So my daughter's Corinne. She goes by Corey, but her name's Corinne. Then there's Easton, Tannen, and Dawson. My cousin says we're the Un family. So our last name's also Pedersen. Who knew? My name ends in an N, Karen, and my husband's name is Dan. Not even Daniel, just Dan. So we are all N's. I just realized, even us, even the parents. I love a good alphabet set. It's amazing to me, here at Close to My Heart, you know, as we look at sales, alphabets sell pretty well for us, but not as well as I would think they do. And I think it's because people look at stamps like this cute stamp set with the cute little bears and things, and that's way more fun to buy than an alphabet. But an alphabet is so usable. I have lots of them, different sizes, shapes, solid, lined. And they probably are my stamps that get used the very, very most because I use them on scrapbook pages all the time. Okay, I've got my Easton stamped. I'll let that dry before I erase my pencil line so I don't smudge my ink. I love how that turned out. I'll just show you this on the close-up camera. And you can see how helpful it was to have that little line there and to just stamp them one at a time. When you put them on a block together, it's a little bit harder to line up than if you just use a pencil line to stamp onto, even though our blocks have a line etched into them. Also, because of, can you see how the letters, all stamps have a little bit of a, what's the word I want to use? Almost like a bleed. What's that? Oh, border. There you go. Ashley over there, she does way more than camera work. She tells me what I'm doing wrong all the time because I need it. But around the edge here is like a little border of the acrylic so that it has a sturdy base. And so you can't get them as close together on a block as you would if you just do them one at a time. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. So I do like to stamp my alphabets one at a time to get them close together. Okay, I feel like we're ready to start putting this page together. I think all my splatters are probably dry. So I'm going to just start by putting this on the base page. That leaves me a nice 1/4 inch border. Now this part, I want to make a section of it a pocket. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So my idea was to put my journaling kind of hidden behind here. That's why I left a bunch at the top. I don't know how long I'm going to want that to be. So what I think I want to do is see about, like, I think I want a little bit of that journaling to poke out, a tiny bit. So I'm going to put that about where I want it. First, I better grab my photos and make sure how far over that needs to go. That's about right. I think it needs to scooch over a little bit this way. Okay, now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is reach under here carefully and pick it up. And I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to grab my pencil again and draw myself. I'm just going to trace the outline of this. And I know that my pocket needs to be on the outside of that line. So we're going to do that right now. Then I'll be able to figure out what I want to do with my journaling piece here. So you can see I've got a square drawn. That's where my journaling is going to go. I need to give it a tiny bit of wiggle room. So I'm just going to grab foam tape. And I'm going to make myself a pocket. I'm just going to go slightly outside that line. Scissors. And since this is going to be a little bit raised, because I'm using foam tape to give room for the actual journaling to slide down in there, I'm going to add foam tape to this whole piece. There we go. So we've got our pocket made now. You can see what I mean. Where did my journaling go? I can just slide that right down in there. Can you see how that's going to form a pocket, and it'll be able to slide right down in there from the front? And so I'm just going to quickly add foam tape all the way around. We got to leave that open at the top for our journaling to slide down in so that there is an actual pocket. And then let's put this on our page. And notice when I made my pocket, I made sure that that tape went all the way around. So there's not any part of the pocket that it's going to get like come down below. So it'll be easy to pull in and out. And I'm just going to kind of center this on my page, maybe a little higher than center. That's a good tip if you are going to have an area that has more space. Most of the time you'd want the bottom too. You'll notice even on photos, I mean artwork on people's walls, sometimes the bottom of the mat is a little bit wider than the top of the mat. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to do something to the top of that to make it fun. I don't know what yet. All right, so now let's put our title on. We've got our happy and birthday and the 5, which is hanging around here somewhere. Well, that 5's going to turn up. So in the meantime, I'm just going to start doing photos. Stamped it. I probably set it aside somewhere when I stamped it. Let's see. Thank you. I would have missed it. It was on top of ink that I couldn't see. Okay, we've got a 5. What would I do with that, Ashley? Okay, we need our happy. All right, I think that I kind of got the spacing about right here. So I'm going to add my 5 first, then the birthday and the happy. Just make sure that that is going to Fit about right. Okay, so this is another reason I love this all-purpose mat. When I've got something like this that I'm adding adhesive to that's kind of skinnier than the actual adhesive, a lot of times people will use like a liquid adhesive, which sometimes I do too, but most of the time I prefer this adhesive, and that way I can overlap my letters. Then that adhesive that's extra is just right here, it just wipes right off. That's a great little tip. Having a mat under you all the time really does make a difference. I need to make sure that's about centered. Okay, now our happy. This P is the center letter, so I'm going to start with that and kind of make it right above the center of the 5. If you wanted to make sure it was perfectly straight, you could also grab a ruler and draw a line. You could even put adhesive on the letters, then put them onto a ruler where they're just barely onto the plastic of the ruler, and have them straight against a ruler line. Then you could slide that ruler out right here, but I just did my own thing here. It might not be perfect. In fact, I can tell my Y needs a little help. There we go. Okay, I think that looks good. And let's finish putting this together. And I think I want to do, I think I want to pop just the one maybe. That should be about ready to be able to be erased without smudging. So I'm just going to take that pencil line off and grab some more foam tape. I've got a bunch of partially used rolls here. We'll just try and use up a few of them. I know, oh, there it is. I knew I had one somewhere close by. Just because we're filming, I can't get the adhesive off the back. This is never a problem. There we go. All right. I'm just going to let those overlap a little bit. I think that looks cute. All right, I think we're getting mostly done, except for a little accessorizing. And I want to do something fun with this journaling now. I got to figure out where I put that. Oh, there it is. Maybe I could cut it into a tag, except I kind of don't want to. I think I'm just going to cut it down a little. Maybe I'll put a star at the top. That might be cute. All right, where's all my stars? Maybe I'll start accessorizing a little with these too. These are all just different sizes and colors, and I think I'm going to go with the black ones because that's kind of the direction I've gone with most of this layout. Maybe I'll add some more ink onto my journaling. That might be cute. Here we go. There's my glacier. I might make it pop a little bit in that pocket to have that kind of peeking out. I'm liking how that's looking. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. Yep, I have maybe a larger black star. That looks like the biggest one I cut. Maybe I'll let it come off there just a little bit. That's kind of cute. Okay, that is very cute. And I love how that's looking. So let's just do some more accessorizing with some stars. Maybe one next to his name would be fun. I like that size. Trying to remember what sizes I cut. I think I cut 1-inch stars, 1 1/4 inch stars, 1/2 inch stars, and 3/4 inch stars. I'm just playing a little bit and putting them where I'm liking them as I lay them down. I want some down here. What else do I have? One right there by that. I need one more small one. Do I have any more little ones? Oh, I do. There we go. Okay, I like how this is looking. Then maybe I'll just accessorize with some blue little stars that are in the dots that I brought down. I don't know. We'll see how that looks. I feel really good about where this went, and it really was a pretty quick layout. I love the stacked title. That turned out better than I imagined it would. All right, let's see what we got here. We've got some, I think these glacier stars would look good mixed in. I'm just going to put these with some of the others. Be a black one right there. So, oh, I forgot to glue that down, didn't I? Oh no, it's got adhesive. I just didn't push it down, I think. Maybe put one right there. That's cute. Okay, I'm loving how this is looking. And I just have one last little finishing touch idea. This is just a white gel pen. I use these all over my pages all the time. What if I add some polka dots like on the balloons on some of these stars? Okay, I like that a lot. That was a fun little detail. As soon as I finish these other two larger stars, I'll bring this over to the close-up so you can see this better. And maybe I'll add in a couple of blacks accessory stars too. Let's move this over where you can see. Let me move this mess I've made. And come over here. I like the polka dots on those larger stars. That's cute. Maybe this one needs some too. All I'm doing is taking the white gel pen and making little polka dots. And I do have some black and white dots that have some stars in them too. I kind of like the theme that we brought through with the stars. Maybe I'll just do a couple of these little tiny baby ones mixed in a little. Oh, you didn't see me do that. I just added that guy. And maybe okay, let's see. I'll just move this so you can see everything. This is what we ended up with in our journaling. There we go. Isn't that a fun stencil that we used in the background? Let me come right back over here one last time so you can see the whole thing. And I love how that turned out. I think that turned out so cute. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing. Now that I'm sitting here looking at it, I feel like we need a harsher line right here. Maybe a piece of black cardstock. Was there a zip strip on one of these that was black maybe? There's that zip strip. I think I'm just going to cut a piece of that off. See how that looks. I think it's going to make us have a little bit stronger. Yep, love that. You guys do this too? You think you're done and they're like, oh, maybe I'll just add this one little thing. And oh, what about this one little idea? I tend to do that a lot. Even sometimes come back like the next day and it's sitting on my desk and I go, oh, I think it needs a little this or that. Okay, I feel great with that now. I could add one up here, but I'm not going to. I want it to just kind of like underline what's happening here. I like that a lot. Okay, that does it for this process video. I hope you enjoyed my process and watching me try to find things. That's always part of the game, right? Thanks for joining me. I hope this inspired you to try something new yourself.